Alright, terrible angle. I'm fully aware of that. However, my dog has brought me a gift. The stick that he likes to chew on. We're going to see if we can turn it into a slingshot. Alright, so I guess step number one for this one would be obviously remove all of this chewed up nasty bark. So dang, that's a loud bird. So I'm just going to use a razor knife and just come through and this thing has been sitting out in the rain for a while, so we're probably going to do a drying cycle on this thing after I get the bark off. But basically, this isn't rocket surgery, okay? Take your knife, remove the bark. Not that hard. I'm using a razor knife, guys. That should tell. I have other stuff to do this with, and I chose this. So, if I can do it, you can do it too. It's just, again, it's not rocket surgery. Alright, so just about all the bark is off. You can see where my dog has knurled, aka used this as a dentist stick and just chewed the crap out of this thing, but it hasn't really gone past the tips of these forks. So now I'm just going to decide how low down I want to cut these forks and all that other stuff, make sure they're level, so on and so forth. And then we'll get into the fun stuff from there. Okay, so for this process, sorry you can't see my face. For this process, I've picked up one of these things. You can get them at Home Depot, you can get them at Walmart, Lowe's, it doesn't really matter. But basically, you need something to make 90-degree cuts with. Because if your forks aren't 90, they're all jacked up, it's going to throw off your shot. However, the problem that I face is this: no fitting. You see? You know, fit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just carve off where my dog has chewed this up with a pocket knife, and then I'll put it back in here. Trust me, this is way past 90 mils, if you guys were wondering. Way past 90 mil. So it'll work out just fine. Full-blown experience talk, okay? So speaking from experience, these saws suck. If you have one better, use it. However, my folding saw over there doesn't fit in these grooves, so I have to use this piece of crap. Get one better. Also, you might want to nail this down because it likes to go everywhere, and holding two sides in the middle of this together sucks. So I'm going to pause this to save you guys all the swear words, but just know I'm going to take this like this. I'm going to stall back and forth until the tips of these are cut even. So if you can't tell, the rain has decided to descend upon me. Yeah, just but to keep you updated, this is where we're at so far. I've sawed off the bottom and the fork tips to where they're even as to the way that I like to grip it. So this is where we're at. I have no idea the state of this wood. I don't know how old it is, how young it is, anything else like that. So this could turn out crap, this could turn out great. I guess you'll find out if I post the video. But this is where we're at right now. Fork tips are nowhere near even. We're going to work those details out. But it kind of holds, if I could put this in for you. It's definitely a brace, but we are not done. Definitely a brace though. I mean, you could hold it like this. That does not feel comfortable in my hand, but you could. But it's definitely a brace. So we're going to put this through a couple heat cycles, see if it cracks. If it does, Well, crap. If it doesn't, we're on to the next step. Not your stick anymore. This is my stick. No, it's my stick, Bo. My stick. Mine. You cannot have this stick. This is my stick. Okay, so just giving you guys an idea of what I'm doing now. I'm taking the fork and I'm placing it in the microwave. A lot of you guys are going to be like, why are you putting a fork in the microwave? Very, very simple. If you don't know how microwaves work, basically what happens is it heats up the water molecules that's inside of your food to heat it up. Okay? Basically, it just heats up water. If you put the stick in the microwave, don't do it for a long time, 30 seconds at a time, but if you put it in the microwave, it'll heat the water molecules inside the stick, and they want to evacuate. The water wants to evacuate. Therefore, it'll leave the grain of the wood. Typically, it'll just be like, you know, steaming water in the microwave, and then it'll exit. But I wipe down the microwave afterwards every single time and all that stuff. But basically, put it in the microwave, let all the water run out. It's not a bomb-proof system. It could crack the wood. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with this, so do it at your own risk. I have never really had an issue, but works for me. That is, in fact, a stick in the microwave. So I don't hear any more steam, but as you can see, there is some steam in there. Typically, you'll hear it out of this piece of wood. I'm going to assume that this is dry now. We might do one more heat cycle here in a minute, but it's hot and it seems dry to me. So luckily no cracks either, so that's good. Well, no major cracks, that's from the sole. Alright, as you can tell, we are back outside. The heat cycle is done on this, and all I have done was mark out how I want my forks to be. Basically, I took a dime because this right here was not as wide as what I wanted to do. So I took a dime, marked out my circle, and then made them even, or how I consider even, and put the dime right there. So you can get your fork width and everything. I'm really not worried about fork width today. Literally just want to get this done. I think it'd be cool to have basically a gift from my own dog that I created, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so I'm using a freaking work sharp. I've taken those dime-sized marks and I have rounded them into the slingshot so that they're roughly the same size, kind of. And I've started sanding everything down, again, using a 10-onion work sharp. You don't need a whole lot of tools to do this. I've done this with a pocket knife before. Trust me, you can get it done. But basically, it looks something like this. And all I'm doing at this point is getting that rough, ugly underbark off, basically so that when I spray my crystal clear enamel or whatever, it'll actually stick to it. Granted, we will be going over this with like 80 grit, 120, 180, and then 200 before we lay any clear whatsoever. Alright, so from here I kind of just let the slingshot speak to me. So I know I'm going to be brace gripping it, and I'm going to be holding it like this because I like this down sweep along with that long branch right there to actually get a brace on it. I do want this to have a little bit of an indentation right here around this knuckle, because if I squeeze this knuckle, it'll lock up. So I typically tend to grab more like that, which means I want more of a sloped end to get my hands closer to that fork, like riding that fork, because I like to be about right there with it. So I'm going to add this in again, literally just using this freaking work sharp. It's not that hard. Where your finger is, take it, mark that. About right there is where I want that indentation, a little bit under. So all I've done there is mark that, and then I'm going to, you could take a Sharpie and put like a little groove starting at your mark and then run it however you want to. I just kind of let the wood talk to me. I grip it as I go, and then hopefully it looks good at the end, but if it doesn't, I know it'll at least feel good. Alright, so as you can see, I have a pretty good sized indentation right there, and you're sitting there looking at it going, that looks ugly. Watch to the end of the video. I promise you this will not look this ugly. However, I know my finger fits in there now perfectly fine without having to squeeze, and I can leave this part a little bit fatter. What I don't like is where my finger lands right here. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit so it fits a little bit better in my hand. Bear with me, you'll see. Okay, so what I've done is taken this and bring it up just a little bit so that actually fits perfectly in my hand now. See that? I don't have to grip. That fits really good. So now all I have to do is smooth everywhere that I've gouged out and it looks ugly. That, in and of itself, is its own little task, but it's super easy to do. All you got to do, you are working with a sander. You can make these things happen. Don't freak out if you make a mistake. Work through it. It could be a cool aspect of the slingshot. Or it could look like crap, but guess what? A fork is free, so don't freak out. Just go get another fork. Look at that. Already starting to look way better, isn't it? I just laid the sander to it for a second, and it still feels the exact same as I like. So we're gonna keep bringing this around. I don't like that hump right there. It doesn't feel good to this finger, but it's starting to feel pretty freaking good. So I'm gonna smooth that in just a little bit. Make it look real nice, real nice. All right, so as you can tell, I've been working on this for a while, aka beard is full of this stuff. But this is the shape that I've come up with so far as fitting into my hand really, really well, and it does. That gives you an idea. Nice little curve to it, nice and smooth. Fork tips are about the same. You can't really get, perfect with, I mean, you can, but I'm not. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. Nice little bit of thickness on these. I got to clean that up just a little bit, a little bit of a burn mark. But yeah, fits super nice in the hand. My finger loves laying in this spot right here. I don't know how well you can tell, but it fits really, really nice, and I don't have to grip with this finger. It just kind of lays there, and then the rest of them I can squeeze if I want to, or just relax it and take them nice, simple shots. That's where we're at so far. I'm calling this the dog bone princess right now. So here is where we are at now. Calling this the dog bone princess. Currently it's sanded up to like 180. Are there imperfections in it? Yeah. Do I care? No. It's a Natty. And it's for me. And it feels good in the hand. But this is just to prove to you guys, you can go out and build something like this out of basically nothing. My dog brought this to me as a chew stick. I'm calling this the dog bone princess. It feels great in my hand. Is it perfect? No, but I literally did this with a freaking work sharp, guys. You can do this too. You can do it. You can do it! Okay. So, what I'm about to do is a terrible, terrible idea. It is raining. Okay? Which means there's a lot of moisture in the air. I don't know why I'm yelling at you, but there's a lot of moisture in the air. I'm about to finish this. quite literally, with crystal clear enamel spray paint by Rust-Oleum. Is there a finish on this? No. Is it dyed? No. It is straight natural wood. I wiped it off after sanding it to 220, and I'm going to hit this very, very lightly for the first coat. And in about 10 minutes, that'll be dry enough to handle. It'll also feel like it's a satin finish. Totally fine. We'll spray it again with another light coat. We'll do that about 4 times with really, really, really light dusting coats. Then we'll take it inside and we will sand it with 1000 grit wet sandpaper. Then we'll take it back out here again, hang it up, and we'll hit it with a whole bunch of other little tiny coats until it is shiny and pretty. And then we'll go shoot it once it's dry. It's that easy, guys. Super, super easy. Another thing, if you end up getting drips, just stop right there. Let it dry, and then sand it to where that drip is gone. And then start again. Okay, I got the Dog Bone Princess. It is finally finished. Got a pocket full of shot. See what we can do with it. First shots with this thing. I don't expect too much out of it. It is not my fork width at all, but we'll see how it does. All right, that was a little left. I'm shooting cold, haven't shot today, so. I'd say it's pretty good. So guys, if you haven't already figured this out, this video is literally just me proving a fact that you can go into the woods, you can cut a fork down, and you can create your own slingshot with very, very minimal tools. It's been done 1,000 times, but you'll never know until you try. Forks are free. It could be your new favorite shooter. It's made specifically to you if you do it the way that I did it. It fits your hand perfectly. It's just an awesome slingshot that you've made from scratch. It requires very, very minimal tools. Like I said, anybody can do it. It is a good slingshot. I like it. Dog Bone Princess. Anyways, hopefully this inspired you. Get outside, make yourself a slingshot.